can speak. Good afternoon. Did you hear me? Hello? You should go to channel number 1. Workshop 1 is a channel 1. Donc vous allez au canal numéro 1. Good afternoon. Welcome to this session focused on the Global Digital Compact. How African country can take profit from the implementation to the 5 objectives of the Global Digital Compact. As you know, United Nations adopted, UN General Assembly adopted in last September the Global Digital Compact. The Global Digital Compact have 5 objectives. First, connectivity. Second, inclusion. Third, data governance. For cybersecurity and AI, artificial intelligence. And our discussion today is how African country, given the challenge we are facing, can implement the 5 objectives of the Global Digital Compact. We already have the African Digital Strategy, Transformation Strategy 2020-2030. We have also the WISIS process and all framework across the continent. We don't want just to come to discuss what's happened in any country in Africa. We need, at the end of this session, to come up with a collaborative approach, collaborative project between the country we have here at this panel. Today, we have the Honorable Minister of Lesotho. One issue of my Honorable Morozi, Minister of Information, Communication, Science and Technology and Innovation of Lesotho. We have also Honorable Ismail Cisse, Minister of Information, Broadcasting of the Gambia. We have also the Honorable Minister of Chad, is not yet here. I have also Madame Fatou Blondin Diop, former Minister of ICT of Senegal and Chair of the Senegal Universal Fund. And for the private sector, I have also Mr. Osam El Gami, CEO of ICANN. And you have also the Director General of Smart Africa. I think everybody knows Smart Africa at the continental level, Mr. Lassina Kone. Let me start now by the Honorable Minister of Communication and Information, Science, Technology and Innovation of Lesotho. Honorable Minister, we have seen a lot of progress made by the government of Lesotho in terms of implementation of digital strategy and the usage of technology for sustainable development. How can the WISIS Plus 20 review effectively align with these 5 objectives of the Global Digital Compact in order to avoid duplication, also to promote policy coherence between all frameworks across the country and across the continent, and also to overcome several challenges we are facing at the country level, like connectivity, affordability, and digital literacy, among others. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you, Program Director, and thank you for inviting me to be part of this very important discussion, I must say. I think going forward, WISIS has to look into this issue of duplication. Just this afternoon, I was asking somebody, I think it's Smart Africa this morning, when I asked him, do you ever take time as different entities and organizations to sit down and see where at that level you are duplicating, where there are similarities of activities that you do, programs that you do, and he did admit that indeed there is some duplication to some extent. I think that would be the starting point where we see the UN being deliberate to bring everyone together and see where the duplications are and eliminate the duplications. And whatever savings that we can realize then would be put into the projects, like the one you're proposing, where we have a project that is driving connectivity in the world and in Africa, if I may be allowed to talk for Africa specifically. I think the biggest gaps, as we say all the time, is the issue of accessibility, usability, the e-commerce, and e-government. I think if WASIS can take the issue of e-government as a standard that is set for every country to oblige with, it is the starting point which I think will see us through. Most of our countries are not yet giving services digitally. There are still long queues, there are still long walks, there are still long, heavy payments to be made for taxis and transport to get to services. So if we can get to a point where WASIS drives e-government, I think that would be one of the biggest wins for us. I don't know if I'm allowed to say all of them now or I can come back later.
Please.
Okay, another issue is the issue of integration. I think the call for integration is now. We need to integrate Africa. We need to integrate the world. We need to get to a point where the software that is being developed is put on an open source, as an open source model. We need to share infrastructure more. Yesterday I talked a bit about the introduction of satellite. How much of it is it going to be shared? Or is it going to be satellite per country? Or is it going to be per region? So things like that can see us saving a lot of costs if we can integrate and share costs on infrastructure. The high cost of data, it's a biggest concern for us in Africa. I think we need to be deliberate, bring private sector into a room and talk about the price of data, how it can be reduced. Talk about the price of smart devices, how we can reduce the price for smart devices, or whether we need to build capacity to manufacture some of those smart devices in Africa. I think we need a different policy framework guided by WASIS to take cognizant of, to be cognizant of modern technologies and the changes that come with it. And as you said, Your Excellency, I think the issue of having deliberate projects that move us from point A to point B, this is what we need to do. We need to get to a point where we have programs and projects that move us from point A to point B. So what I need to see is to see IGF and WASIS being platforms of accountability where countries come and account and say, this is what I was supposed to do, I couldn't do it, or this is the target that we set for ourselves and we've been able to deliver. And to get the leaders to also sort of sign into those mandates, sign into those targets so that we can all account and be held accountable by our societies.
Thank you so much for your guidance. I think it's very well understood. And you give us a lot of guidance on how we can put in place this strategy, how we can overcome to the digital skills, the issue of connectivity. Also, we have to work together and also to have an accountability framework for IGF, WASIS, and other framework across national level and regional level. Now, let me move to the Minister of Chad. Mr. Michel, Ministre Télécommunications et de l'économie numérique. Vous avez entendu les lignes directives de l'honorable ministre du Lesotho. À la lumière du pacte numérique mondial, quel exemple de politique et stratégie concrète les pays africains peuvent-ils mettre en œuvre pour tirer pleinement profit de la transformation structurelle offerte par les technologies de l'information et de la communication, à travers des exemples précis?
Ok.
C'est déjà allumé.
C'est bon déjà.
Allez-y, vous allez.
Bon, mais merci beaucoup. Merci, chers panélistes et chers participants au sommet de la gouvernance Internet. Je n'ai pas eu l'occasion de remercier d'abord le gouvernement norvégien pour l'occasion qu'ils nous ont offerte pour enfin se focaliser sur la thématique auquel vous venez de nous en proposer. Et je dis merci au gouvernement norvégien. Et puis à ma gauche, le PDG de Smart Africa qui est tout le temps avec nous pour nous accompagner, les pays africains, dans la bonne gouvernance de l'Internet. En fait, la gouvernance de l'Internet en Afrique est un espace crucial pour le dialogue inclusif réunissant les parties prenantes. Et comme a dit la ministre de Lesotho, il nous faut passer par des thématiques beaucoup plus ciblées. Premièrement, pour des cas pratiques, il faut une importance de la coopération pour l'évaluation de l'IGF en Afrique. Comment le faire? Premièrement, il faut le renforcement des synergies régionales. Avec le cas pratique, le Forum de gouvernance de l'Internet en Afrique francophone, qui est une plateforme régionale qui regroupe des acteurs de plusieurs pays francophones en Afrique. Et à travers cette thématique, on peut citer des exemples probants pour le cas qui est partagé entre les expériences entre la Côte d'Ivoire et le Sénégal qui ont conjointement développé, je vais dire, des guides assez intéressants sur ce fait. Le partage d'expériences, des bonnes pratiques sur le Burkina Faso qui met en place une évaluation participative. Et ce à quoi nous pensons que mon pays, le Tchad, qui, sur ses propres fonds, ses propres initiatives, a pu déjà construire à peu près 6000 km de fibres optiques, que c'est pour faire en sorte qu'on puisse atteindre l'Internet à tous les horizons. Le Tchad fait 1 284 000 km², c'est très vaste. Et donc, il nous faut toute une panoplie de la gouvernance sur l'Internet qui permettra à ce qu'on puisse avoir un pacte numérique avec les parties prenantes. Il faut des partages d'expériences. Il faut également faire en sorte que ceux qui utilisent l'Internet comme un luxe, que cela ne soit pas un luxe pour d'autres pays comme le Tchad. Et pour le cas pratique, nous en tirons le déploiement massif des fibres optiques que je venais de dire tout à l'heure. Sur le projet de PND qui va se passer bientôt à Dubaï, nous avons un programme qui s'articule de 2020 jusqu'à 2030. Les mécanismes de financement que nous pouvons le faire, c'est à travers les structures qui nous accompagnent, ADETIC, l'ARCEP, qui sont en charge de construire toutes ces choses-là. Vous avez le Rwanda, par exemple, le cas pratique du Rwanda, sur le backbone des infrastructures que le Rwanda a construit. Le Kenya, à travers le Safaricom et le déploiement de la 4G, qui sont des cas qui sont déjà assez intéressants. Et la stratégie de mise en œuvre mondiale va de renforcement de partenariats publics-privés. Aujourd'hui, la société civile joue un rôle assez important et donc il est question de les impliquer. Le financement mixte est associé aux fonds publics, banques et développement, investisseurs privés et des fonds d'impact social adaptés aux réalités. Le partage des infrastructures entre les opérateurs pour réduire le coût et accélérer la couverture. Encourager aux initiatives communautaires et locales notamment pour desservir les zones les plus éloignées. Le renforcement de compétences numériques et inclusives digitales. Dans ce cas, il faut des cas pratiques qu'on peut les inciter sur ce que je venais de vous dire. En partenariat des ONG, la formation numérique. Au Tchad, nous avons impliqué toute la société civile pour garantir un accès d'Internet à tous les niveaux. Et vous avez dû constater que la délégation tchadienne massivement venue, composée de la société civile, parce qu'ils jouent un rôle important pour que nous puissions mettre en place quelque chose de solide. Le cas pratique, c'est la formation. En Tunisie, il y a Digital Tunisia en 2020. Ils ont mis en place quelque chose de solide. Au Kenya, il y a le coaching bonding qui va dans cette stratégie. La stratégie de mise en œuvre mondiale, c'est ça qui est important. C'est l'intégration de compétences numériques dans le curriculum scolaire et la formation professionnelle. Il y a le programme ciblé pour les groupes marginalisés, les femmes, les ruraux, les handicapés, avec un appui matériel et financier.
Merci beaucoup.
Et donc, c'est toutes ces choses-là qu'il faut essayer de mettre ça en exergue.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much for sharing several examples across the continent in terms of capacity building, sharing infrastructure between some African country, also some service sharing between also this country. I think it is a very good example to show how we can use this technology and how we can work together to collaborate between African country to make sure we can bridge several challenges in the continent. Now let me go back to West Africa. I'm going to West Africa also. I think we talk about a lot of things about misinformation, disinformation. It is a key challenge, not only for Gambia, but for all African countries and across the world also, with the development of this social media. And early in 2025, the Gambia Ministry of Information, in collaboration with Wave Gambia, launched a national campaign to combat this misinformation and disinformation. The Gambia broad strategic priority and institutional action to counter online falsehood, and particularly in safeguarding electoral integrity. Can you talk a little bit about on this strategy implemented by Gambia and how this experience can be benefit for other African country or can be duplicated in other African country?
Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister Ismaila Cisse.
Thank you for giving me the platform to discuss this very crucial phenomenon or phenomena if we consider both misinformation and disinformation. I think it is one of the greatest threats to our coexistence and stability as countries in not only in Africa but also around the world. I think you would all agree with me that misinformation and disinformation are not new phenomena. They are perennial. They've been here a while ago. What has changed is the speed at which now they are spread. That is why we believe that the proliferation of digital platforms and social media has amplified the spread of misinformation and disinformation, but also fake news as well. Now, in the Gambian context, these phenomena pose a unique threat to national cohesion, democratic consolidation, considering our transition as a new democracy, but also the credibility of the press as well. Now, the spread of misinformation has been weaponized to manipulate public opinion, which undermines electoral integrity, as you rightly say. It also fuels political polarization and incites tensions, societal tensions. Research has shown that politicians and religious leaders are key sources of misinformation. But often the media and journalists are the conduits that disseminate these fake news or this disinformation. Therefore, journalists, media chiefs, editors are gatekeepers of information. They are on the forefront of combating these challenges. That is why the ministry, after having collaborated with Wave Gambia, doing nationwide sensitization in communities, educating and enlightening people how to identify and counter misinformation. We are working with key stakeholders in the information ecosystem to train them and give them the tools to be able to do ethical, accurate, credible reporting. This is crucial in safeguarding the democratic gains that we've made since the transition. Recognizing this, the ministry is also building partnerships with all stakeholders in information ecosystem to empower the media with the knowledge, skills and tools they need to identify, counter, and prevent misinformation and fake news. The objectives are, one, to strengthen professional journalism practices that safeguard public trust and democratic values in the Gambia, but also to enhance the capacity of media chiefs, editors, and fact-checkers to identify, counter, and prevent the spread of misinformation. Also to foster collaboration among media leaders to develop newsroom strategies for managing misinformation and disinformation. How are we doing this? We are working with the participants in an inclusive manner for the participants and the stakeholders to review guidelines for combating disinformation and fake news. These guidelines are non-legislative, but are based on existing practices locally and internationally in line with global standards of press freedom and freedom of expression. But also, we want to also develop a national action plan against disinformation. We call it the plan. Here, participants will draft and commit to a national plan of action in response to the threats of disinformation, misinformation, and fake news. The plan will outline approaches for a coordinated response on critical issues that seek to undermine national unity, peace, and tranquility. This action plan will seek to create synergy between government, the media, civil society to tackle disinformation through a code of practice. Now, in addition to this, we realize that in the age of deepfakes, AI-generated forgeries, manipulated news, you need tools to counter this. And there are no better tools than the tools that are used. That is why we are working as a ministry to establish what we call a National Misinformation and Disinformation Response Center. Now, this response center will be a very sophisticated and accessible one. We are working with ECOWAS to work on this. We are launching, it's a centralized one, AI-enabled platform that will help citizens, journalists, and government to verify questionable content in real time, tracking emerging threats, but also respond quickly with facts. I can go on and describe what this project is about, or maybe you want me to discuss it later so that we can, because it also has a regional component where we want to make sure it is an integrated component where we can work with other countries in the ECOWAS region to make sure that we use AI-generated tools to fight misinformation and disinformation.
Let's come later. I think it's very important project you highlight misinformation and disinformation. This platform also, I'm happy you have a regional component of this platform. We'll discuss more about later to see how we can collaborate on this regional component. Now let me move. When we talk about policy, we have some key application, but as highlighted by the Minister of Lesotho, we have several gaps on connectivity and access. And now we can consider internet as part of human right, and we need to provide access to all. And why we have the concept of universal access, I'm going to ask this question to Madame Fatou Ndiaye Blondin Diop. She was a former Minister of ICT of Senegal, and now she's a coordinator of the Universal Telecommunication Service Development Fund of Senegal. Madame Blondin, est-ce que vous pourriez partager les principaux défis et opportunités identifiées dans le processus de développement du service universel pour le contexte du Sénégal? Et vous pouvez aussi aller au-delà.
Oui.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Seck. Merci de m'avoir convié à cette rencontre. Merci au gouvernement norvégien de permettre de faire l'état des lieux et d'avancer sur toutes les difficultés à surmonter pour l'Afrique principalement. Et mes prédécesseurs qui se sont exprimés en ont montré un certain nombre. S'agissant du Sénégal, donc je dirige le Fonds pour le développement du service universel des télécommunications. Nos missions sont, comme la plupart des services universels, tout d'abord la connectivité. Ça passe.
On était les micros. Numéro 1.
Numéro 1.
Channel 1. Mettez à Channel
1. Donc, je disais que, s'agissant de la connectivité, notre challenge est que d'ici 2029, que nous puissions connecter 1550 localités, dont 490 sites sans infrastructure, c'est-à-dire zone blanche, et près de 1160 à migrer du 2G vers la 4G. Ceci doit impacter près de 2 millions d'habitants au Sénégal qui en comptent 18. Nous avons aussi le volet inclusion numérique qui recouvre donc la connexion et les équipements pour les institutions administratives que sont les mairies et les différents bâtiments administratifs, les institutions sanitaires ou scolaires, mais aussi nous avons des missions auprès des centres de handicapés. Donc tout ceci nécessite aussi un fonds assez conséquent. Nous avons aussi pour mission de faire du renforcement de capacité à travers le développement de contenu, donc en fonction des localités et en fonction des situations. Il faut que ce soit adapté aux besoins. En termes de perspective, nous devons mobiliser 80 milliards de francs CFA, soit 127 millions de dollars, dont 65 pour la connectivité, 7,5 pour l'inclusion numérique et le reste pour le fonctionnement. Donc, nous faisons appel évidemment au fonds, à une participation des opérateurs qui sont au Sénégal, mais aussi des financements de la Banque mondiale. Et nous sommes en train d'étudier des financements alternatifs et surtout de bâtir un autre modèle de financement qui nous permettrait d'accéder plus facilement aux ressources. Et nous sommes en discussion avec le ministère des Finances, qui est notre tutelle. Nous devons aussi améliorer le modèle de gouvernance du fonds, le moderniser dans ses approches et dans son fonctionnement interne. Et tout ceci, nous pouvons le faire parce que le Sénégal a élaboré un projet nommé New Deal technologique. Dans ce New Deal technologique, le besoin est estimé à 1500 milliards de nos francs et nous sommes impactés par un volet de 250 milliards sur 5 ans en tant que fonds pour le développement du service universel. Cela permettra aux Sénégalais de disposer de connexions et d'outils d'inclusion numérique, d'accélérer le développement de l'économie des localités éligibles au fonds universel, de travailler avec des bailleurs d'une part, et au niveau pays, aussi bien au niveau local qu'au niveau international. Et ça donnera l'occasion à des bailleurs de se retrouver dans un secteur à fort potentiel.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
I think c'est un exemple concret pour la mise en œuvre de fonds universels à travers un pays qui est le Sénégal. Et cet exemple, vous avez cité beaucoup de stratégies pour mettre en œuvre cela. Donc, mais when we talk about universal fund, the first idea is to put in place the infrastructure. And now we are facing a lot of challenge in the African continent for the digital public infrastructure. When you talk about digital public infrastructure, it's related to digital ID, digital payment system, and interoperability. And it is where we need the involvement of the private sector. Also on the regulatory side, we have some issue to deal. Let me ask now my friend Osam how we can improve the development of DPI across the continent. I think you can have an example from Egypt. And also how to fund. The funding part is very important.
He gave me the most difficult question. How to? Now, let me just start by saying that since GDC and the last G20 meeting in Delhi, there is a push to boost DPI-related projects. First of all, we appreciate very much the 20 years of efforts that took place in Africa delivering digital transformation. There are many challenges of power, challenges of connectivity, challenges of capacity building, challenges of governance and implementation of governance. Generally speaking, we can easily adjust digital public. Do you all know what is the DPI, the digital public infrastructure? Who doesn't know DPI? Everybody knows DPI. Well, maybe okay, because now, okay, for DPI, this is mainly to provide a framework that would give open source application. Standards, etc., so we can all collaborate in delivering solution that serves the public. And in order to do this, we have the core DPI, so the main infrastructure, and we have the application layer of the DPI that would provide the required. In fact, because now we are getting into a more maturity, we can easily relate DPI investment to SDGs impact. And this is the whole thing. If we are able to identify properly the sectors of priority, like healthcare, education, finance, and others, crisis management, and identify proposals that reflect the return on investment that will take place, the impact that will happen by implementing the proper DPI, then we are able to generate the required funds, whether from the funding, the assistant committee, or from the multilateral banking, development banking, or from even private sectors. it is quite important really to identify the priority sectors to work on. It is important also to collaborate with similar other African countries to identify their knowledge, experience, and best practice delivering DPI. And there are few African countries that have already been on the front in delivering projects for DPI, and it would be quite better to learn from them their experience managing the challenges and also even identifying the funds to support their implementation of DPI. And really identifying the level of impact that took place accordingly. Along with that, there are several funds that are coming, and we expect more to come. By the way, during the period from 2017 to 2021, there were, I would say, I need to just to check the amount for, there were around 1.2 billion US dollar invested in 2021 for DPI, and more is expected. And from Development Assistance Committee donors, that accounts for about 60% of this funding. Multilateral development banks account for 23%, and private donors for 17%. Some of the main donors were UK, Germany, Norway, Sweden, and Canada, along with South Korea, France, and Netherlands. And generally, the approach for the funding agency is they support the global health and communication sectors specifically. So they supported program related to disease surveillance platforms, digital health services, and as well as financial inclusion through mobile internet and data protection for digital payment. Funding for DPI other sectors includes big data for emergency response, e-government, and e-learning as well. And by the way, most of the funding were going to sub-Saharan Africa. It received like 50% of the Development Assistance Committee funding between 2017 and 2021. Which means that there are funds existing, that are increasing accordingly, and with the GDC, more is expected to focus on delivering DPI to serve the SDGs. What is important is to identify properly the SDGs that we need to serve, the plans to serve them, and to accelerate the SDG process. Foundational digital system, DPI can help countries advance a wide range of development objectives and respond more effectively to crisis and getting SDGs back on track. SDG 1, no poverty, decent work and economic growth. SDG 8, SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Enhancing resilience and emergency response, those are various SDGs. Gender equality and reduce inequality, SDG 5, gender equality, SDG 10, reduce inequality, SDG 7, affordable clean energy, and SDG 12, responsible consumption production, SDG 13, climate action. And accordingly, there are many that can be really done simply by looking at the other countries in our continent that have delivered on the DPI and provided projects with clear impact on the SDGs, and repeating this on the other countries.
Thank you very much.
Also is just to use as much as possible.
Thank you very much. I think it's very important.
Thank you.
Highlight very well, but you didn't tell us where we are find the money for DPI. Where we get money, the money is where. But it's okay. We are going to discuss on this because DPI is very important for the continent. We are implementing the African Free Trade Area. We need to have the adequate infrastructure to promote trade between all African countries with this digital payment system, to overcome to the 700 million, 500 million African people without any legal form of ID. We need also to develop our e-government service to make more transparency for the citizen. Now, let me go back to my friend and brother Lassina Kone. You do everything. But I will not ask you to tell you all about Smart Africa. Just let's focus on AI. What is what you are doing now in AI? We have the Smart Africa AI blueprint. We are putting in place this AI fund. A lot of activity around AI across the continent. Please tell us the challenge for AI in Africa and the key action by Smart Africa.
Thank you very much, Brother Mokhtar. We heard from my brother on the left talking about DPI. We heard from Minister of Lesotho talking about connectivity and the lack of coordinations and all that. And we heard from Senegal about universal access. We heard also from Chad and also from my brother from the Gambia talking about the misinformation. All of these, of course, the underlying things is the technology. Now we have the AI. And if you look at your question, it talks about inclusive growth. For us in Africa, the definition of inclusions in Africa is very different from the definition of inclusion in the West. For us, the AI will be equalizer for the inclusions. Why? Because we have over 2,000 languages in Africa. How do we make sure all of these people who do not speak any other language to be included in the current life and contribute in the social economic development? That's why Smart Africa will launch April 4th, the Africa AI Council. We are now working in operationalizations by consultation of our country members, not only government, because this is a multi-stakeholder platform. Why? We are putting this together to address 5 things. When you talk about AI, we're talking about computing power. Are we able to have, do we have a necessary computing power today in the light of all these challenges we're facing? Number 2, data sets. You know, the AI actually is nourished from the data. And 3, we have the algorithm, which is, of course, a bias. So we need to know exactly where is it coming from. And 4, AI governance. Exactly, it does not mean to step in to put the rigid regulation, but we need to have some safeguard to make sure the AI will be used ethically, inclusively, and sustainably. And number 5 is the market. How actually we can use the AI as a tool to actually grow the market and create jobs in Africa. That's exactly what we're doing. But there are challenges, of course. There are challenges. Those challenges can only be overcome if we work together. That's why Smart Africa exists, with only one vision to transform Africa into a single digital market by 2030. By the way, 2030 is only 5 years away. No country in Africa can actually succeed in AI alone. That's why we need to work together in terms of computing power, in terms of policy harmonization. In the policy harmonization, we've already started work. There are over 19 countries in Africa who already have their AI national policy. How do we make sure these are all actually coordinated to the AI governance actually elaborated by the UN, as well as even the Global Digital Compact, as well as the WISES, as well as the Internet Governance Forums. And that's our role for policy harmonization, because you know why? At the end of all this, when any nation talks about the AI, they always talk about their private sector. The frontier model in America, the frontier model from Europe, the frontier model in China. So we, Africa also, we need to be talking about the frontier model, which will be driven by African private sector. Let's not forget that. The governments should be creating a conducive environment for private sector to step in for the right appropriate time with the appropriate investment to be able to strive in the digital era, particularly in the AI. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this to highlight the challenge, also the key activity undertaken by Smart Africa to make AI adoption available across the continent. Now let me open the floor for 10 minutes. If you have any contribution, 1 minute each. Let me start by the first row. Fonsele.
Yeah, thank you.
You can come on this side, yeah, if you want to take the floor.
Is the mic on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, distinguished panelists. I'll first talk to Mr. Lansana Kone in regards to your talk on AI. First, we have the AI continental strategy that was adopted in Accra. 19 countries, as you said, in Africa has already done their own national AI strategy. Why don't you think we just localize our own AU strategy instead of individual countries? And this same thing also has happened with the African Union digital transformation strategy. And I feel we don't really have harmonization when we don't listen to what the AU does. We see our own Malabo cybersecurity and personal data protection. We see what has happened with that. Less than 25 African countries have signed it. So it makes us look like we are joking. We don't respect what our union does. So I would like you to address that in regards to with this strategy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Elijah.
Yes, thank you very much for the wonderful presentations from my sister to Senegal all the way to Lesotho. But my issue is this, just to make a suggestion. You know, oftentimes we meet as African continent from different countries talking about bridging the digital gap, talking about security, cybersecurity, talking about misinformation, disinformation. I was wondering if we can maybe concentrate on one or two items where those countries that are available here can concentrate on, particularly, for example, when you talk about misinformation, disinformation, what can we do together, you know, as a continent or as a region to help fight? Because it is a critical issue and is actually threatening our democracy on the continent. So I was suggesting maybe if we can come up with one project or one thing where we can collaborate to see what we can do to ensure that we have something in place that would actually help us to fight misinformation and disinformation, because it's a threat to the democracy of this continent.
Thank you. Wisdom.
Somewhere the queue there too.
Okay, go.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Wisdom Donko from Ghana. My issue got to do with Smart Africa, and then this is my personal understanding of what I've seen. It looks like Smart Africa is trying to do the same thing that we, the community, are doing. But then what I think is that I would like to see Smart Africa on top there, then look at all of us, what we are doing, and then try to bring us together to see what we can do to achieve whatever aim that we want to achieve.
Thank you. Toko.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all the panelists and to the submissions that have been made. I think the session has not only been informative, but it's been a very enlightening regional perspective. Speaking on the topic of inclusion, I think it's very important, especially as the representative from Smart Africa has said, in Africa, inclusion looks different to the West, to Asia, and to the European areas. It's representing different groups, it's different identities, and understanding those marginal identities within policymaking, within our project implementation, within our theories of change and our actual implementation of projects, whether it's civil society, government, NGOs, we need to go directly to those people. Standing here today, I'm speaking on behalf of the youth, and I'm saying that here, if we're going to be talking about bridging the digital divide and inclusive growth, and we go back to Africa, a continent that is 65% youth, people under 35 years old, we're going to need to make sure that they're going to be part of these conversations, that their voice is going to be heard. But also, when speaking specifically on the topic of the internet and using it as a vehicle of growth and transformation, in South Africa, we've got what we call the fourth industrial revolution.
Thank you. Thank
we're
you.
using this as a vehicle of change.
Next, please. Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is Kwekwenchi from Ghana. In terms of what we're talking about and following from Toko, in terms of internet connectivity, Minister talked about it. But there's one important aspect that we talk, and in context of Africa, we often miss out the grassroots. And if we want that change to happen in Africa, it's going to be coming from the grassroots. Whatever top-down thing we are doing and we don't have that innovation from the grassroots, from down there, is going to be very problematic. So, Minister and other panelists, we are here to help you. We are from the African Community Internet Program. We help the grassroots to be able to be connected. We have our internet backpack device here, a community backpack, and we will be able to help you solve some of these problems. And we solve African problems with African innovation and technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you. My name is Maha Abdel Nasser. I'm a member of parliament from Egypt. Actually, I want to talk about the data sets that you've been talking about. As we all know, of course, data is the most important thing in the AI, and in the future it will be the new gold and everything. But and Africa, of course, had the largest data sets in the world. But we are not integrating, we are not working together, we don't have data flow, we don't have even regulation or any kind of forming these data sets to be able to be validated and to be used for the AI models. And we can have this leverage on all AI companies. It's just we need to integrate and work together. Thank you.
Thank you. I will take you.
Hi, my name is Shadrach from Ghana. This one goes to Dr. Ismaila. Hearing what he's putting in place to handle misinformation was so awesome. It's something I really got interested in, but I wanted to ask this. So how are you doing this? How are you doing to build the trust in public information, especially in communities, the rural communities? You know, they don't have access to all these platforms. So how are you going to start from there? Because if someone can just go to our great grandmothers and tell them AI is coming to kill all of you, and they will start spreading it, and then all of a sudden everybody starts running from the village without knowing whether it's true or false.
Thank you very much.
How are you solving that?
Thank you. Now we don't have enough time. Sorry for the rest of the speaker, of the participant. I'm going to give the floor to the panelists to answer for 2 minutes. And also for each of you, what we can do together. There are several questions. You can answer of any question. But more important, what we can do together between Lesotho, Senegal, Gambia, and Chad. Yeah. And with support from Smart Africa and ECA. We are here together. Egypt also. I'm going to start by the Honorable Minister of Lesotho to answer to some question, also to provide guidance what we can do together. I suggest we agree on one collaborative project, and we can start working together. And we'll present during during Transform Africa. We can brainstorming on this project. Transform Africa will be in July in Kigali. If we have an idea of project, we can work together and to see how we can move forward for this project during Transform Africa meeting. Let me start by the Honorable Minister of Lesotho.
Thank you, Program Director. I think I had other ideas until I had a lady who represents young people in the room. And I've been having this idea that I think we need to bring the youth and understand what is the job opportunities for them in the ICT spectrum. Job and market symposium is what we need to do together. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Ismaila.
Well, thank you very much. I think our platform that we are talking about, it has a regional component, and we call it the regional integration strategy. Here, we designed it to integrate seamlessly with broader ECOWAS efforts to combat misinformation across West Africa. Now, as a pilot within ECOWAS framework, the center will share insights, alerts, and tools with counterparts across the region to enable collective resilience against disinformation campaigns. So, briefly, we'll structure the platform to do cross-border data sharing, to be able to scale the architecture, but also allow the platform to evolve so that we can support participation in regional early warning systems, enabling the Gambia to contribute actively to the security and information stability of West African community. We can discuss this later to see how we can all collaborate so that we create a synergy that can allow us to fight together this phenomenon. Now, to answer the gentleman's question on how we really engage people in the communities, that is why our first initiative was to send people to the communities. And we take leaders from the communities. We don't send people to go there. People who are leaders in the communities go there and do community outreach, talk to people, in their natural habitat to discuss these issues with them so they can identify what is fake news, but also how to also verify fake news. And also we work together a lot with WhatsApp platforms, because we realize that most of the people in communities use WhatsApp. So we engage them to use WhatsApp platforms and also create a system where they can verify information that they deem to be misinformation.
Thank you. Honorable Minister of Chad.
Qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire ensemble?
Bon, merci beaucoup, Monsieur Sek. Je pense que le Tchad, pour mon pays que je connais mieux, nous avons, comme je disais tout à l'heure, réalisé 6000 km de fibre optique, construction des data centers. Nous avons un data center qui est déjà prêt à être inauguré. Ce qu'on peut faire ensemble, c'est le partage des technologies. Comment on appelle le PDG Smart Africa est là. Comment on doit gérer notre data center. Ça, c'est ce qu'on peut faire ensemble et regarder comment il faut étendre le réseau. Nous avons construit à peu près 200 sites.
D'accord. Non, mais c'est bon, merci.
C'est bon?
C'est bon. Naifatou?
Oui. Moi, je pense qu'on a toutes les organisations qu'il faut. On a aussi toutes les technologies puisque c'est accessible à tout le monde. Et nous avons beaucoup d'occasions de nous rencontrer et de partager des expériences. Ce qui reste vraiment toujours les points faibles, c'est-à-dire que c'est une politique volontaire à travers le financement des infrastructures et des applications adaptées à nos besoins et à nos sociétés. Pour moi, ce sont là les défis essentiels que je vois à travers toute politique d'infrastructure et qui est surtout à prendre en compte maintenant que l'IA s'impose à nous sans que nous ayons un agenda IA et comment l'intégrer dans nos systèmes éducatifs, dans nos sociétés et quelles seront les conséquences.
Qu'est-ce que le Sénégal peut faire avec les autres pays?
Ce que le Sénégal fait déjà avec les autres pays. Je pense que le ministre du Tchad, dans son exposé, avait déjà présenté l'initiative qui existe entre le Sénégal et la Côte d'Ivoire. Nous avons aussi des initiatives au sein de la CEDEAO. Nous en avons beaucoup. Il y a 15 jours, à Abuja, il y avait une conférence de IGF Afrique. C'est pour ça que je dis qu'au niveau organisationnel, au niveau synergie, au niveau projet, il y a énormément de choses qui sont là au niveau conceptuel. Maintenant, au niveau dans les faits actifs, les résultats sur le terrain tardent à se faire sentir, mais on a tout ce qu'il faut pour y arriver.
D'accord, merci. Osam, quickly.
Ouais, j'ai 2 projets et 2 recommandations. I have 2 projects and 2 recommendations. 2 projects, one of them, well, what is clear is we don't have enough synergy between African continent, and this is what we have seen in the cybersecurity and other things. There are efforts taking place by ECA, by the African Union, but the fact is we have still paths to go. Now, one project is we need very shortly to agree together on a project where we have an information portal where we can identify the challenges of each country, the opportunities of each country, the best practice that took place in implementing DPIs and other opportunity, and what type of projects are there, and what successful project had been taking place, so that we can replicate this. We will consider countries that have successfully implemented a project in the digital transformation as a pilot for the rest of our continent. And then we simply bring the company to deliver it and replicate it.
We have only 1 minute left.
Another one?
No, it's okay. We are. Let's go to the.
Okay. So the
Lassina.
The other.
No, it's
one,
fine. We have enough project now. Now
is, I
not working. Eh?
Quickly, I suggest an AI.
No, Osam. We have enough project. Let me give the floor to. Let me give the floor to Lassina.
Okay.
If I have one thing to say to respond also to all these answers, it's not about one size should fit all. All sizes should fit together. It means there are common denominator in any policy harmonization, but trust me, in Africa, if we do not get together, we will not be leveraging the size. The difference between the United States and China today, it's about size. The difference between India and Africa today is about integration and size. Africa is 1.4 billion. If we all want to develop in silo, would exactly becomes late comers into the technology. That's why we have an obligation in this AI era to work together. So let's work together.
Okay, thank you very much. It is the end of this session. I think we learned a lot about policy challenge perspective in Africa, AI, digital public infrastructure. We already identify 4 projects. We can work together on these 4 projects and we'll make a proposal to the Honorable Minister of Lesotho. One project also to Mr. Ismail as the Minister of Gambia and also the Minister of Chad, and to see how these projects can work quickly. And we need by next IGF, inshallah, we can present some quick win coming from this discussion. Otherwise, I would like to thank you, everybody, all my panelists, and see you soon, inshallah. Bye-bye.